Kemi Badenoch said she no longer views herself as a Nigerian or identifies as a Nigerian, and this has gotten some Nigerians on social media all riled up, calling her an embarrassment and so on and so forth. But I just want to say this before I get into this video. There are many Nigerians abroad that holds the same view that she does.
Conservative Party leader Kemi Badenoch says that she does not have a Nigerian passport and no longer identifies as Nigerian. Now, she made those comments during an interview on the Rosebud podcast with Giles Brandreth. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
Are you still Nigerian members? You have passports for both countries?
I have not renewed my Nigerian passport. I think not since the early 2000s. It's just I don't identify with it anymore. Most of my life has been in the UK, and I just never felt a need to. So when I go there, when my dad died, I had to get a visa to go to Nigeria, which is all a big fandango. And because I'm Nigerian through ancestry by birth, despite not being born there, because of my parents, yes, I am. But by identity, I'm not really. I know the country very well. I have a lot of family there, and I'm very interested in what happens there. But home is where my now family is. And my now family is my children, it's my husband, my brother and his children, and, in-laws. And the Conservative Party is very much part of my family.
Well, despite being born in Wimbledon, southwest London, 45-year-old Kemi Badenoch was raised in Nigeria until she was 16 years old. And she shares her experience of Nigeria's education system and how it shaped her political outlook, including why she doesn't actually like socialism. Let's take a listen to what she had to say about education.
I went to the school that I spent most of my time in, which was a Church of England school called St. Saviour's in a place called Ebutemeta, which is it was a railway compound. And that's where primary school was. So I was moving around quite a bit. I went to a secondary school. It was called a federal government girls' school in a place called Shagamu. And that was like being in prison. When I tell the stories about using a machete and having, because I know lawnmowers, that's the place that I'm talking about, having to fetch buckets of water. And that was the first time that I was away from home, away from my family.
And this is a boarding school?
Yes, it's a federal boarding school. And it was
you
very...
shared a dormitory with other girls?
There were 300 of us in my dormitory, 20 to 30 in a room.
And the machete is for cutting the grass?
Yes, cutting the grass.
Explain why were you cutting the grass?
Well, because, who else is going to cut the grass? And it was like Lord of the Flies, the students were in control. We needed to look after the school grounds. So using a machete, having to clean toilets with no running water. I'm not going to go into the description of that, but it is very, very, very grotty. And so that was when I talk about the hardship, it's often being in that school.
That is an experience that many Nigerians who went to public primary or secondary school can simply relate to. I didn't go to a boarding school, but I went to a government primary school.
It's so interesting with Kemi Badenoch that unless she talks about Nigeria, she doesn't make the headlines. I think
if she doesn't talk about Nigeria, she doesn't make the headlines. Headlines where? You think talking about Nigeria will make headlines for Kemi Badenoch in the UK? This is the problem with Nigerians. You think you overstate your importance.
She's realized that the only way for her to really stay in the news is for her to speak on Nigeria and to do so in a denigrating way. And that keeps her at the top of the news cycle, which is sad and unfortunate that she has to play that card. But this is what she has chosen for herself. Now, speaking on the education system, I was quite... shall I say, intrigued by her comments around it, because I've attended boarding school both in the UK and in Africa, right?
Note that she attended boarding school in the UK. That is probably secondary and primary school in the UK. In case you guys do not know, Vimba is from an elite family background from Zimbabwe. She has not known what you call poverty.
So yes, we can speak to the differences. Let's speak to the differences in ideology and in how we raise our society and our communities here in Africa. We have a disciplinarian approach as Africans. We believe in structure. We believe in work ethic, and we believe that our children should be trained from a very young age to be able to care for themselves and their communities. Yes, she rightfully spoke on socialism.
He's trying to justify kids bringing machetes to school to cut the grass as being some sort of way to look after yourself. Do you know how many children in my primary school cut their leg? Do you know how many times during Labor Day kids were rushed to the headmistress's office because they had caught themselves. Several times, kids were rushed away from the school to a nearby clinic to get medical attention. Do you know how many times that happened? Let's just carry on.
Which is, especially at the time she was in school, we were coming out of colonialization, and a lot of the movements that liberated us from the colonialists were socially based. And what was that? That was the idea that everybody has to come together to be a part of making sure that our society is a better place. Now, I'm not sure where in the books that is a bad value to teach children. Now, let's compare it with what happens in the UK, where it's more of a laissez-faire system. Do what you will when you want to. They may report to your parents. It's up to your parents to discipline you. The school generally, the boarding school I went to, didn't get too involved when it came to disciplining children. So what did we have? We had, at the age of 13, people exposed to drinking, to smoking, to all sorts of other things. And this used to happen on the school grounds with limited consequence. So I'm not saying this doesn't happen in African schools, but what I'm saying is that with limited consequence.
Okay, she's talking about the fact that schools in the UK or the schools she went to had, a laissez-faire approach to discipline. In all honesty, in Nigeria today, the vast majority of private schools have, frankly, pushed away corporate punishment. The secondary school I went to, I got flogged like a camel because that was back in 2013, 14. But right now, they don't do that anymore. You'll be hard pressed to find a private school in Nigeria where kids are still flogged for coming late. Then, when I was in secondary school, I got flogged for coming late. 6 strokes on your palm for just coming late. Don't turn in assignments, you get 6 strokes. You look at the teacher funny, you get 6 strokes. That was even a private school back then. Things like that don't happen anymore in Nigeria. So trying to paint it as if we are no longer different.
You could get away with it very easily because culturally speaking, it was, let them do what they want. So I think for us to now look down on how we're trying to build our moral fabric here in Africa as a society by creating and raising disciplined children who are committed to the betterment and the upkeep and the welfare of their environment, I think it's very tragic. And it also speaks to her character in her inability to say, well, I grew up in harsh conditions. So many other Nigerians are saying, I want to come back and fix it. Yes.
Come back and fix what? Come back and fix the public school system that's strictly in the purview of the government. I think Vimba is a mother. I hope she sends her child to the same public run hostels, public secondary schools that she's so put on such high pedestal for morals and some sort of stuff.
There are some harsh conditions, one or two things that are not positive. But you know what? I'm going to dedicate my life to trying to make Nigeria a better place because I got a chance to do better. But no, hers is, I'm done with you people. Please don't stain my white. I'm now British, which is so unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate.
They tend to pretend like they care about the issues that affect the average Nigerian, but they truly do not care, to be honest. See, my sister went to a federal government against college, and it was a terrible experience for her. Of course, going to the school, hostel life is quite fun, but the kind of jobs they had to do was quite not what anybody would want for their child to do. That is the reason why most Nigerians who are financially fortunate send their kids elsewhere to study. In the US, it's a thing for your child to go to your alma mater. We are proud of that, But nobody wants that in Nigeria. Why? Why don't you want your child to experience the same thing you experienced in school, Vimbai? Vimbai, can you send your daughter, can you send your son to government-run secondary schools and have them be in the care of hostel masters? Now let's get to a party which is just completely bonkers.
Dr. Rupin.
Okay, let's deal with Kemi Badenoch first. I think that, look, she needs to stop embarrassing Nigeria.
Oh,
She needs to stop demarketing Nigeria. She says, well, she's no longer identifying with Nigeria. Nigeria is her ancestry, but she has not renewed her Nigerian passport. We are over 200 million in this country. We are not looking for more people. We have dual nationality. Whoever does not want to be part of us can stay where they want to stay. But we are proud of people like Tobi Amusan, people like Victoria Macaulay, people like Amy Okonkwo, people like Ezinne Kalu, who are...
I know people like Abati would like to talk about Toby Amusan like she was 100% Nigerian. And oh, they are doing Nigeria proud and so on and so forth. There's no doubt that our efforts are commendable. But I would like to remind Abati about something. Toby Amusan received an athletic scholarship to study at the University of El Paso in Texas. So the US athletic system was the system responsible for fine-tuning Toby Amusan's skills, not Unilorin, no Uniport, no Unilag. Nigeria did not make her the athlete she is today. The American athletic system did that, not Nigeria.
Projecting Nigeria and doing us well, either in football or in basketball. So if you have one daughter, a prodigal daughter called Kemi Bednock, who says she doesn't want to identify with you people, okay, it's fine. You have all kinds of children. After all, Yorubas have a saying that you can have a child who describes the road to her father's house with the left hand. Kemi Bednock falls into that category. And the Adogoke family should be thoroughly embarrassed that they have produced a daughter who is describing her father's house with the left hand. But whatever her ambitions are, fine. Now, there's a group in the UK that has now gone to the UK Parliament to say, please, they have to restrain Kemi Bednock from demarketing Nigeria, from disgracing Nigeria with misinformation.
So corruption, underdevelopment, child mortality, lack of infrastructure, poor healthcare, terrible airports, extortion by government officials, corrupt policing system, all of these things are not demarketing Nigeria enough. Is the factual statement made by Kemi Bedenoch that's what's demarketing Nigeria. I can tell you for a fact that that group is a group of politically motivated POS. All of the problem that made those group of people in the UK run away from Nigeria to the UK, those issues are not enough to demarket Nigeria. Shameless people.
With misdirection. And that she cannot be an honorable member of parliament and she'll be telling lies against another country. Now, as to the lies, she was saying they were carrying machete in federal government girls' college. No, nobody carries machete in any school in Nigeria. It's called cutlass.
Yes.
Cutlass.
But
And it was part of...
In fairness, Doctor, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it could be just like a translational thing. Because if you say, I just feel as though perhaps if you say cutlass outside of Nigeria, would they understand what cutlass means?
No, cutlass is different from machete.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. But I'm just thinking perhaps
machete
it was just...
is a weapon of aggression. A cutlass, you cut grass.
Yes.
When we were growing up, you cut the grass, you will have blisters on your hands. Our teacher saw it as a way of disciplining the child. She said she attended this.
Okay, first of all, Abati, you have no idea what you're talking about. A machete and a cutlass. So while sharing similarities, are distinct tools with different historical uses and design philosophies. A machete is primarily an agricultural tool known for clearing vegetation, while a cutlass is a short curved tool traditionally used by sailors and pirates. So Abati, she was right and you were wrong.
She said she attended the school in Ebute Metta,
Yes,
and he's talking up out of that. Look, and in MGGC Shagamu, you had about 30 students in a room and all that. We went through it. Even at the university level, some of us stayed in a room with 16 students.
Is that supposed to be a good thing, Abati? Do you look forward to that for your sons and daughters? Abati, are you looking forward for your child to go to your alma mater? The answer is no, but you want to talk about it like it's somehow admirable.
Black skin, white mask. Let us see whether the British will allow a thoroughly black person in and out to become the Prime Minister of Great Britain. After all, they allowed an Indian, Rishi Sunak.
So, Abati just ended his whole talk about a subtle racist jab at the British that he wants to see if they will allow a black woman to become the Prime Minister. Our president died in the care of the British people. Buhari, Tinubu goes to France or goes to the UK for medical care. Right? When he wants to relax, he goes to his home in London to relax. Your president does not think he will be treated somewhat. Now you think that the British people or the members of parliament will now think about Kemi's color, the color of her skin when trying to pick her for a prime ministerial role. It simply shows that these people, they will always have these issues of victimhood and try to push it. They call that black skin with a white face. See, sometimes they attack people from minority communities suffer the most. It's attacks from their own people. The same way black Americans will call black people that are conservatives Uncle Tom. They have so many names for them, right? See, they will be told things by members of their own community that they will not even get from the other races. And it's quite sad to see. So, see you guys in the next one.